Welcome to this week's security brief for the fourth week of April. Before we start, make sure you are subscribed for future content. Starting with some good news, ransomware payments have plummeted to a record low, with only 28% of victims conceding to cybercriminal demands in the first quarter of 2024. This marks a decisive downtrend in the once lucrative criminal enterprise. The decline in payments is attributed to a combination of factors, including enhanced cybersecurity measures, increased law enforcement action, and a growing refusal among victims to negotiate with attackers. Experts suggest that this trend reflects a broader shift in the cybersecurity landscape, as organizations and individuals become more resilient and prepared to counter these digital threats. As the world watches this development, the message is clear. The fight against ransomware is gaining ground, and the tide may be turning in favor of cybersecurity defenders. Next story. In a startling revelation, the Russian hacker group known as Sandworm has reportedly targeted around 20 critical infrastructure facilities in Ukraine. This information comes directly from the Ukrainian Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT-UA. Also known as Black Energy, Seashell Blizzard, Voodoo Bear, and APT28. The hackers are believed to be associated with Russia's main directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, the GRU. They have been carrying out cyber espionage and destructive attacks on various targets. The attacks occurred in March 2024, and in some cases, the hackers were able to infiltrate the targeted network by poisoning the supply chain to deliver compromised or vulnerable software, or through the software provider's ability to access the organization's systems for maintenance and technical support. The Ukrainian agency notes that Sandworm's breaches were made easier by the target's poor cybersecurity practices, such as lack of network segmentation and insufficient defenses at the software supplier level. From March 7th to March 15th, 2024, CERT-UA engaged in extensive counter-cyber attack operations, which included informing affected enterprises, removing malware, and enhancing security measures. Moving on, in a concerning development, Synlab Italia, a major medical diagnostic and testing services provider, has suspended all its operations following a ransomware attack. The attack forced Synlab Italia's IT systems to be taken offline. Part of the Synlab group that operates in 30 countries worldwide, the Synlab Italia network runs 380 labs and medical centers across Italy. The security breach occurred in the early hours of April 18, 2024. The company's IT department took immediate action to shut down all machines and disconnect the entire corporate infrastructure from the network. As a result of this incident, all laboratory analysis and sample collection services have been suspended until further notice. The company is making efforts to ensure that malware is no longer present on the IT infrastructure and to restore systems from backup. Next story. Microsoft has issued a warning that the Russian APT28 threat group, also known as Forest Blizzard, is exploiting a Windows print spooler vulnerability. This vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2022-38,028, was initially reported by the U.S. National Security Agency. The exploitation allows the threat group to escalate privileges and steal credentials and data using a previously unknown hacking tool called goose-egg. The attacks have been ongoing since at least June 2020, and possibly as early as April 2019. The goose-egg tool is capable of spawning other applications specified at the command line with elevated permissions, allowing threat actors to support any follow-on objectives such as remote code execution, installing a backdoor, and moving laterally through compromised networks. The APT28 group, linked to Russia's main intelligence directorate of the General Staff, GRU, has been involved in many high-profile cyber attacks since it first surfaced in the mid-2000s. This latest development underscores the ever-evolving threat landscape and the importance of maintaining robust cybersecurity measures. Next story, major cyber attack that has impacted one of the nation's largest healthcare providers. UnitedHealth Group, a leading healthcare company, has confirmed that it paid a ransom to cybercriminals following a ransomware attack on its subsidiary named Change Healthcare. The incident was first reported earlier this month, with ongoing updates as the situation unfolds. The cyber attack targeted Change Healthcare's IT systems, affecting operations across the United States. The attack resulted in the theft of sensitive personal and health information, prompting UnitedHealth to take decisive action to prevent further data leaks. UnitedHealth is now working closely with law enforcement and has offered support to those potentially impacted by the breach. For more details on this developing story, stay tuned to our channel. Moving on, North Korean hacking groups identified as Lazarus, Andariel, and Kimsuki have been implicated in a series of breaches. These groups have successfully infiltrated South Korean defense industry entities, stealing valuable technology information. The breaches have been ongoing, with several instances of successful attacks discovered recently. The targeted entities are part of South Korea's defense industry, which has become a major global defense exporter. The motive appears to be the theft of technical data and valuable technology information, which could be used to bolster North Korea's own defense capabilities. Stay tuned as we continue to follow this developing story. Continuing in North Korea, where antivirus hijacked hackers have exploited antivirus updates to deliver a dangerous malware known as GuptiMiner. The culprits behind this sophisticated cyber attack are believed to be associated with the North Korean hacking group Kimsuki. They've previously been implicated in similar cyber espionage activities. GuptiMiner, a highly sophisticated threat, has been masquerading as a regular antivirus update. Once installed, it performs a variety of malicious activities, including disabling antivirus tools, dropping additional payloads, and even mining cryptocurrency. The attack was recently uncovered by cybersecurity experts, who have been tracking the malware's spread through compromised antivirus updates. The malware has been targeting large corporations, exploiting the trust placed in antivirus updates to gain access to secure networks. The motive appears to be financial gain through the mining of cryptocurrency, as well as potentially accessing sensitive corporate data. For those concerned, it's advised to update your antivirus software immediately to the latest version, as patches for this vulnerability have been released. Stay tuned for more updates on this developing story. Next story, the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, has sanctioned 2 companies and 4 individuals. These actors are believed to be involved in malicious cyber activity on behalf of the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Cyber Electronic Command, IRGC-CC. These actors targeted more than a dozen U.S. companies and government entities through cyber operations, including spear phishing and malware attacks. They are accused of conducting a coordinated, multi-pronged campaign intended to destabilize critical infrastructure and cause harm to U.S. citizens. The sanctions were announced on April 23, 2024. The cyber operations targeted U.S. companies and the government entities. The motive appears to be the theft of technical data and valuable technology information, which could be used to bolster Iran's own defense capabilities. Moving on, Cisco identified hackers as UAT 4356 by Cisco Talos and Storm 1849 by Microsoft have been implicated in a series of breaches. These groups are believed to be state-backed and have been exploiting 2 zero-day vulnerabilities in Cisco's Adaptive Security Appliance, ASA, and Firepower Threat Defense, FTD firewalls. The hackers have successfully infiltrated government networks worldwide through a cyber espionage campaign tracked as ArcaneDoor 11. They have deployed 2 backdoors, Line Runner and Line Dancer, which were used collectively to conduct malicious actions on target, which included configuration modification, reconnaissance, network traffic capture, exfiltration, and potentially lateral movement. The infiltration began in early November 2023. Cisco became aware of the ArcaneDoor campaign in the early January 2024. The cyber operations targeted government networks worldwide. The motive appears to be espionage and an in-depth knowledge of the devices that they targeted. Next story. The incident involves Progress Flowmon, a network performance and visibility tool used by over 1,500 companies worldwide, including Sega, KIA, TDK, Volkswagen, Orange, and Tito Every. The vulnerability is currently tracked as CVE 2024-2389, with a maximum severity score of 10 out of 10. An attacker exploiting this vulnerability can use a specially crafted API request to gain remote, unauthenticated access to the Flowmon web interface and execute arbitrary system command. The flaw was first alerted by Progress Software on April 4th, and a proof of concept exploiting it was released on April 24th. The vulnerability impacts versions 12, X and 11, X1. It is worth noting that there are about 500 Flowmon servers are exposed online. The vulnerability was discovered by researchers at Rhino Security Labs. They were able to inject commands by manipulating the plugin path or file parameters to embed malicious commands. In response to this incident, Progress Software has urged system admins to upgrade to the latest releases version 12.3.5 and version 11.1.14. The security update was released to all Flowmon customers either automatically through the automatic package download system or manually from the vendor's download center. Progress also recommended upgrading all Flowmon modules afterward. Next news story, an incident involves the WordPress WP automatic plugin for WordPress, a tool used by over 30,000 websites for automating content importing and publishing. A critical vulnerability tracked as CVE 2024-27956. This vulnerability, which received a severity score of 9.9 out of 10, allows attackers to create user accounts with administrative privileges and plant backdoors for long-term access. The vulnerability was publicly disclosed by researchers at PatchStack Vulnerability Mitigation Service on March 13, 2024. Since the disclosure, more than 5.5 million attack attempts have been observed, with most of them recorded on March 31st. The vulnerability affects WP automatic versions before 3.9.2.1. After gaining admin access, attackers create backdoors and obfuscate the code to ensure their long-term access. The issue lies in the plugin's user authentication mechanism, which can be bypassed to submit SQL queries to the site's database. Attackers can use specially crafted queries to create administrator accounts on the target website. In response to this incident, researchers recommend WordPress site administrators to update the WP automatic plugin to version 3.92.1 or later. They also suggest frequently creating backups of their site so they can install clean copies quickly in case of a compromise. Moving on, an incident involves a new Android banking Trojan named Brokewell. This malware is capable of capturing every event on the device, from touches and information displayed to text input, and the applications the user launches. The Brokewell malware is delivered through a fake Google Chrome update that is shown while using the web browser. It has extensive device takeover and remote control capabilities. It captures the victim's interaction with the device, including taps, swipes, and text inputs. It can steal data and offer remote control to attackers. The malware was discovered by researchers at fraud risk company ThreatFabric. The discovery was made after investigating a fake Chrome update page that dropped a payload. The malware is designed to steal data and offer remote control to attackers by mimicking the login screens of targeted applications. It uses its own web view to intercept and extract cookies after a user logs into a legitimate site. Moving on, an incident involves CrushFTP, a managed file transfer software. Over 1,400 CrushFTP servers exposed online were found vulnerable to attacks. The incident is a server-side template injection, SSTI vulnerability, tracked as CVE 2000-244040, and is being actively exploited. While CrushFTP describes it as a virtual file system, VFS sandbox escape that enables arbitrary file reading, unauthenticated attackers can use it to gain remote code execution, RCE, on unpatched systems. The company warned customers on Friday to update immediately in order to block attacker attempts. A proof-of-concept exploit code has also been released. Most of vulnerable CrushFTP servers are found in the United States, Germany, and Canada. The vulnerability was exploited as a zero-day. Successful exploitation allows for not only arbitrary file read as root, but also authentication bypass for administrator account access and full remote code execution. In response to this incident, CrushFTP users are advised to regularly check the vendor's website for the latest instructions and prioritize patching to protect themselves against ongoing exploitation attempts. CISA also added CVE 2000-244040 to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog on Wednesday, ordering that U.S. federal agencies should secure their vulnerable servers within a week, by May 1st. Next story, Kaiser Permanente, a healthcare service provider and one of the largest nonprofit health plans in the U.S., operating 40 hospitals and 618 medical facilities. Kaiser Permanente disclosed a data security incident that may impact approximately 13.4 million current and former members and patients. Personal information was leaked to third-party trackers installed on its websites and mobile applications. The data may include IP addresses, names, information indicating a member or patient was signed into a Kaiser Permanente account or service, details showing how a member or patient interacted with and navigated through the website and mobile applications, and search terms used in the health encyclopedia. However, the data exposed does not include usernames, passwords, social security numbers, financial account information, or credit card numbers. The trackers were discovered and removed following a voluntary internal investigation. Certain online technologies, previously installed on Kaiser Permanente's websites and mobile applications, may have transmitted personal information to third-party vendors, Google, Microsoft Bing, and X, former Twitter, when members and patients accessed its websites or mobile applications. In response to this incident, Kaiser Permanente has implemented additional measures to prevent the recurrence of similar incidents. Although the organization is not aware of cases of misuse of the exposed information, it will notify individuals who accessed its sites and used its mobile apps out of an abundance of caution. Moving to the last story, a fake job interviews target developers with new Python backdoor. The incident involves software developers who are being targeted by cybercriminals. The attackers are using fake job interviews through online platforms where job interviews are conducted. This is tricking developers into running a malicious Python script under the guise of a code test, which turns out to be a backdoor. The backdoor, named Stitch, is a Python-based remote access Trojan, RAT, that allows the attacker to gain control over the developer's systems and potentially steal sensitive information on the infected system. The campaign was discovered by researchers at Infosec. That's all for this week's Security Brief. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content.